2026 is going to be an awesome year. We got some pretty cool stuff coming up. First off, we got Foundations of Recovery. This is our flagship program. We're starting it in January.
This is for anyone, man, woman, or couple who wants to come and reclaim their heart from shame, trauma, and betrayal. We start off with an education on all sorts of principles, give you the common language. We feed you from a fire hose in terms of all things recovery.
It is such a great start to recovery. And we get at the roots of things, Tyler. This isn't like any other program. Like, this is our healing journey in process, and Foundations is where we begin.
If you look at the value that you're getting there to kick off a good recovery with all of the right education, all of the right language, and a team to get you started while also being directed by Brandon and myself through the whole process, what a deal.
So if you're interested, if you're struggling, if you've been wanting to do something for a long time, jump into this. This only comes around every so often, and we would love to have you there.
Click the link in the description to sign up for it. And to make it even sweeter, we're also including a raffle for a free pass to the Radiant Dawn retreat. Anyone who signs up for Foundations will be added to the raffle for that free Radiant Dawn pass. If you're a man and you sign up for Foundations, your name still gets entered, and you can give that pass away if you win it to any woman that you want to.
So what you're saying, Tyler, is if you sign up and participate in Foundations, you could possibly go to Radiant Dawn for free?
That's exactly what I'm saying, which is crazy because Foundations by itself is already an insane value.
Man, I sound so salesy. But it actually is awesome. So come to Foundations. And even if you don't come to Foundations, sign up for Radiant Dawn. It's beyond therapy, the best healing experiences that you can have.
Click the link below and come join us.
As a couple, how do we handle relapse?
Welcome to the Real Talk Recovery Podcast with the Therapy Brothers.
We're brothers, we're therapists, and we know recovery.
Bring your stories, your questions, your successes with real recovery.
As a couple, how do we handle relapse?
All right, Brandon, this is going to be a good one today. We've got some good guests willing to come on, a couple willing to come on and have this discussion from both sides of this question. So this is going to be good. I apologize, Brandon. I'm still a little bit numb. I just got back from the dentist. Apparently, when I was a boy, they didn't take out all 4 wisdom teeth, and so one popped through this week.
You're a 43-year-old man getting your wisdom teeth out. What?
Yeah.
You just hit puberty. You got some hair in your armpits now too.
Just barely, man. Just barely hit it.
Your voice is changing. That's good. I'm glad it's happening for you.
I know. I guess it's better late than never. I guess they must have seen it in there and just figured it wouldn't do anything, and all of a sudden it started pressing on my teeth again. So
that sucks. I'm sorry.
I apologize for that. Hopefully I don't have too much of a lisp right now.
They didn't put you under or anything, did they?
No, thank goodness. It was actually a pretty slick procedure. So, well, hey, I want to start with a review. We've been getting quite a few reviews lately. Appreciate the people who are sharing these reviews. We love your feedback, and also some of these comments. This one actually has a comment towards one of our past guests. So I'm going to just read the review first. This comes from Podster50. It says, "I love Limbo Land. Thank you, Renee, for sharing your story. I'm in the middle of divorcing my husband of 17 years after discovering he was a sex addict 3 years ago. He chose the addiction time and again, and it was so validating to hear what Brandon had to say about divorce because he has blamed me for our divorce. I replayed Brandon's comment about that over and over. This whole episode is very eye-opening and helpful. Thank you."
Awesome. That episode struck a chord, I think, with a lot of people, and a lot of people related, I think, to her pain and what she was going through and where she was at. So I'm glad it was helpful for some listeners.
Yeah, really grateful that Renee was willing to come on and share her heart and herself the way she did.
Yeah. All right. So speaking of sharing of yourselves, I got 2 of my favorite people here. So we have Liza and Dan here. I've known them a long time. We've been on some adventures together. We've, I know a lot about them. I'll just say that. Before I talk more about what I know about them, I want you to talk about what's going on, guys. So fill us in, tell us why you're here, who you are, maybe a little bit of background, and then ask us the question.
Okay, Dan, are you going or me?
Go ahead.
So I'm Liza and Dan, and we've been married for 24 years. So we've been married a long time. I discovered the pornography pretty early on in our marriage. And then we would just go on a couple years, talk about it, not talk about it, a couple years, talk about it, not talk about it, till about maybe 4 years ago, when we just kind of started working recovery and looking into recovery, when things all kind of came to a head.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead, Dan.
So,
Yeah. So we've been, like I said, 24 years, been together 27 years. But we were just young kids when we got married. I was 21, she was 19. And we were both kind of escaping a bunch of family drama to form a relationship. And so, you know, we took a lot of baggage with us, and we pretty much grew up together, you know, over those years. And it's been rough. Some things have been really hard. Some things have been just unbelievably awesome. And about 4 years ago, we started working, try to figure this out better, instead of the usual, okay, I'll go talk to the bishop, and then, you know, and then it's like, I've got to remember, okay, when was the last time I went to the bishop? Okay, that's how long I haven't looked at anything, when that wasn't the truth. So we started getting into going to SA. We worked on a bunch of different groups. I tried to go to the church's recovery group that they have. I don't even remember what it's called, but and you know, found some things that didn't work and found some things that worked quite a bit. So and then here we are today.
So could you talk a little bit about today? Like what's happening today? You've been in the game now for a while in terms of therapy and group and things like that. Where are you guys at now?
So for me, it's been really difficult, and I've gone through like times where I've been really, I feel like I've been really healthy with it all, and then times where I've been stuck in my own fear and my own things, and the pains from the addiction and that not. I feel like right now, like relapses are still happening, and so I want to be in a place where I can like love Dan where he's at, and at the same time, like these relapses, they really hurt me, and they do cause me a lot of pain. And so it turns into this like kind of this tumultuous type of thing where there's a complete disconnect between the two of us.
You want to be a loving, kind wife, yet at the same time, you also want to be true to yourself and acknowledge your own pain, and be a healthy person that doesn't discount that and live in denial that pain's there. So it puts you in a kind of really tough position.
Yeah.
Isaac, would you be willing to just expand a little bit on what your experience is with the relapse? Like what goes through your head? What goes through your heart? What is the actual experience?
So the actual experience for me is, when it's disclosed. So the last relapse I found out, and that was really very difficult for me. Well, the one before, but that one was really hard because it brought a lot of stuff back up. There was lying taking place, and it was really hard. So that kind of set me back into this place.
You mean you caught him? Is
I
what you're saying?
caught him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so that set me back into this place of, what have we been doing all of this time, kind of thing. So that was really hard for me. And then it gets me to like this point of, this hurts me. Is it going to ever go away? Like, is this ever going to, are we ever going to move past this? And so then I don't know, and so then I start to like go back into my, hey Dan, like, what are we doing? Like, what are you doing? Like, how are we, in my head, it's like, what are you not doing? What do you need to be doing? And then it's hard because I try to stay out of going into his lane, but like, sometimes it's like, what is the answer? What are you doing or not doing? And then I think for Dan, actually, you'll have to say, I don't know what it is.
Yeah, but before you speak for him, yeah. Okay, so it's kind of like, what are we doing? Like, we're wasting time, money, energy. We've been at this a long time, and here we are, square one again, right? It's
right, almost. And I don't feel like we're at square one for sure. Like, I feel like there has been a lot of growth, but yeah, it's like, but this is still happening. Does Dan really not want this? Does he, like, really questions, like, it really makes me question, like, what is real?
Right. Dan,
Yeah.
as you hear Liza's response, what's coming up for you?
Yeah. So for me, I mean, it definitely does feel like that she feels we're back at square one, but it's like, I feel like we've come so far. I mean, it was funny because when we started going in our group that we go to, we started talking about trust, right? And really going through and looking at the different aspects of trust, and reading the books, Speed of Trust. And it was like, at this time I was going through that, and I was just like, man, it was weighing heavily on me, that I wasn't being trustworthy, and I wasn't telling Liza everything. And so when she found out, it was almost like a relief, that, okay, so now I'm completely open. I can move forward and not have to, trust, or not have to lie. And I can start building trustworthiness for myself even. And being honest with how I'm feeling, and being able to verbalize that. I mean, that's been the hardest thing. And I think it's hard for a lot of people that are going through this, to to say exactly what their truth is every single time. I mean, that's really hard, especially when it's like everything's going great, we're kind of in a flow, and then it's like they ask you, oh yeah, well, how things been? And you're like, well, I know, I slipped up a couple days ago, but everything's going great right now, so I don't want to bring this up and really have it, hurt things. So then you lie about it, and then it gets worse, right? But so now I've really, it used to be where I would act out several times a week, and now it's like to a point to where it's like every 2 to 3 months it happens. And so I've like improved quite a bit, and I really know that I need to find, myself, and really have figured that out. And I, until a couple months ago, I'll give a shameless plug for your guys' Rising Sun conference that really helped me like know who I am and what it is that I have to bring to this world, and from then on, I've just been like trying to live in that. And it's been a really great run, but then I slipped up just this weekend. So it's like, but I told her about the differences. I'm telling her about these things, and when things are happening, and that's hard. It's really hard to do that, and not feel like I'm a piece of garbage, and be able to stay in my truth, and know that I still have something to give.
Awesome. Tyler, you have thoughts?
Yeah, I have a couple of thoughts I'm wondering about, both Dana and Liza. I was asking you, Liza, kind of what the process is for you when there is a relapse currently. It sounds like you're not quite taking it as personally as maybe you did in the past. It's more of like this frustration, maybe a little bit of helplessness, like, man, why can't we figure this out? But it's not necessarily a personal thing. Am I hearing that right?
So yes, although that tinge of personalness
It's still there.
definitely is there. And so, but I'm not taking it about, I'm trying not to make it about me and who I am as a woman or a wife or whatever. But it does take still some little bit of work to like, oh yeah, wait, no, this isn't about me.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
To feel in my heart. And at the same time, like, and I'm just gonna be honest, like, I love what you said, like Dan, but like, for me, it's just like, are you saying, this is going to continue to happen? I'm just going to be honest. And then that's it. Cause that's just who I am. That's what I'm hearing. And I'm hearing a little bit of like, a slip or a denial, like a little minimalization, so it doesn't feel honest to me. And I loved how what you said was like, it was so true. Like how when I discovered all of this last one, and you've been not being truthful, it was like for you, it was this like relief, that you were no longer hiding. But for me, it was this dump, like, and so that's been really hard. It was two very different experiences.
Dan, what do you think about what she
Yeah.
said?
Well, I completely, like, I understand what she's saying. I mean, it is, really difficult, especially when I'm not honest about it. I can imagine, because it's like, it's not just the fact that I viewed porn, but it's also the fact that I lied to her about it. And, but it's 100% on me. It's 100% me. It's not to do with how I feel about her or our relationship or anything else. It's that I'm hiding from myself most of the time. And so that's what's the hardest thing to, to explain, and then to even feel like emotion, or not feel emotion, but feel empathy for her. So
Brandon, can I?
Oh, go ahead, please.
Can I go for a second, Brandon? Yeah. So hearing you guys talk, there's a couple of things that are coming up here that I think are just really, really common parts of the process that I want to just outline so that our listeners can kind of understand this as well. You guys are kind of pointing this out. There's like layers to it for most couples. And the first layer really that feels like it's doing the most damage is the layer of the dishonesty and the hiding and the trust issue. And what ends up happening is that on both sides, and Dan, you did a good job articulating this, and I think Liza, you acknowledged this, that this is where a lot of your work is, even though it's not really your fault, is how do I not let shame be the driver of my decision making? Because shame is going to lead to the secrecy and the hiding, which is going to do the most damage to the relationship, because that's where usually most partners handle the lack of trust worse than they handle the acting out.
Yeah. And that's actually part of the hardest things too, is it's like when you feel this shame and whatnot, it's like, so I've gone to a place to where it's just like, here are the facts, right? But then when I do that, Liza gets to a point where it's like, where's my empathy? And it's like, if I try to have empathy, that's where the shame really kind of takes over too.
Right. And I think that's the challenge is that there's like levels and layers to this. The first one is I need to figure out how to make things transparent, honest. And so I get into the facts and I do that. But then there's the next layer, which is that attending to the relationship on both sides actually takes the work of not taking it personal on either side, the shame part of it. I have to learn how to be resilient to my shame enough to be leaning into that process with my partner. And that's where a lot of the work is, right? And so, Dan, you're identifying this and saying, well, geez, like really what ends up happening here is I hate being a disappointment to my wife. My standby default setting is that when I feel like I'm going to be a disappointment to her, I'm going to lose her, is that I go into secrecy, hiding, isolation. It's driven by shame, but what it ends up being is dishonesty, which damages the trust further. And somehow I've got to figure out how to get in touch enough with myself, the better parts of myself, to make those decisions, to be honest no matter what. And then I have to train myself in the skill of empathy on top of that, which shame resiliency then has to come into play, because I can't really show a ton of empathy to my partner if I'm not going to be kind and empathetic to myself.
Yeah.
And then when I say that, the partner, Eliza, I imagine there's probably something going through you that's saying like, well, he's the one that's screwing up. Like, why is he getting the empathy and kindness? You know, right?
No. Like, I feel like when Dan discloses, like in that moment, I have a ton of like empathy for him in that moment. It's usually like after that conversation has happened that, that
Yeah.
I then start going like, wait, what's going on? What it looks like to me though, when Dan does this like matter of fact, like this is like, so like last night, it was just like, this is what happened. I acted out here and again here, and that was it. And so it felt very,
here's the truth, mic drop, take this burden, it's all yours now.
and then that's it. Like,
Yeah.
and I don't really know. And so it's just weird.
There's an interesting kind of side to this, which is this. We're kind of talking about the cleanup a little bit. We're talking about like relapse is going to happen. So what do I need to do? And Dan, you're saying I need to be committed to honesty no matter what. And I need to figure out how to empathize without going to my shame. And so, yeah, absolutely. Though that's true. And there's no taking away pain. So Liza, feeling pain when there's been betrayal is actually a good thing in your relationship. And it's good. Liza, that pain, those emotions you feel are emotions that are there to protect you. They're there to say that you're in a dangerous situation where you're possibly, or you are getting hurt. Right. And so for Dan, in the past, to take those feelings personally of like, I'm just a screw up, she just sees me as a screw up, that's all I am, then that will actually drive your next relapse. It'll lead to acting out again, your codependency to Liza. But there is a side to this that I think we need to talk about, which is continual relapse the only option? Is real long-term sobriety and fidelity in the marriage an actual possibility, so that we can prevent these moments? And I'm not talking about fake long-term sobriety where it's like, yeah, I'm saying I'm long-term sober, right? But it begs the question, Dan, of your relapses are less frequent, which I totally understand why, because I've seen you go through the process. You're in way more recovery now than when I first met you, right? But it still begs the question of why still is there acting out going on? And every relapse is an opportunity for growth. It's an opportunity for reflection. You want maximum return out of every relapse to strengthen your recovery, to say, okay, you acted out this weekend. What's going on? Like what needs to be tweaked? What needs to be looked at? What needs to be shifted in your life so that you're not going to numb your life out? Dan, does that make sense?
Yeah. And, we just, the reason this weekend is just, we wanted a case study for our discussion.
Yeah.
Oh, gosh.
Bad idea.
Not going to end well.
Yeah, it doesn't end well.
Probably too soon.
Too soon, too soon. Gosh.
But really, Dan, what if you were to? I mean, you came to the Rising Sun conference. Dan, I've seen you grow so much, so much. And if you were to really kind of reflect, like, why am I still acting out? What's the void? What's missing in my life? What trauma haven't I dealt with? Like, what's there still that's driving this?
Yeah, I think, really what a lot of it is it's convincing myself of who I am and my value and my worth, and having that, strengthening that connection with God to be okay with me.
Yeah.
So it's like, I did really great, 2 months worth of perfect, I don't know, perfect, but I had no slips, no relapses, no nothing. And then it's like I talked myself out of it or something. So
And your worth doesn't come from your sobriety.
right.
And so you're absolutely going down the right track, Dan. I think if we were to really kind of look at sex addiction and, in your marriage with Eliza, there's struggle, there's feelings of inadequacy, feeling like you're failing as a husband. When you sit down on that computer for a few hours and there's women who are just kind of whatever you want to dial up is there to validate you, to feel good, to feel okay about your life and yourself. It's so easy. It's so easy to get out of all those feelings of failure and shame and all of those things. It's so easy. It's just a few clicks of a button on a mouse, right? And so to get yourself to a place in life where it's like, yeah, but I don't want to go do that. So Liza can be pissed at me, she can be upset, she can be angry, she can have a hard day, and I'm not going to be so codependent to her that my emotions now are in the dumps and I'm depressed. Also, your life is being lived in a way where you love your life. You have hobbies, you enjoy time with your kids, you feel life purpose, you enjoy your job. Like all those things are happening too, so that those click of the button isn't so tempting.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Well, and that's how like the last few months have been. Like I've been just like kind of into this flow where things have been happening, with things are going well with work, a lot going on, but it's like, I'm handling it and I'm handling it well. And then, Liza and I, we've had arguments almost every week that, last couple months. But I've been able to really just flow well with that, I feel. And still be, I'm okay, but then, I guess this weekend it was like stay up too late and then I get caught up in that stuff and there we go.
You're the best. I think you probably heard me say this, but what is like the best thing for relapse prevention? Do you know? Beyond mindfulness tools and
being connected.
Okay, I like that answer. That would fit. What I would say is congruency with yourself, being in your integrity. So when you're living in the light, when you're honest with yourself, you're much less likely to be tempted by things, because it's like I'm free, I'm out, I'm in this light now. When you have secrecy, any bit of secrecy going on feeds that shame. It also justifies more secrecy because you're being secret anyways, so why not? And it's just so easy to go down that trap. Tyler, what do you think about that?
Absolutely. I was just going to add to what you're saying here. I wanted to ask you, Dan, and then I want to come over to Eliza as well on your side in just a second here. But this is what's interesting is that we can go through, and I'm going to do this with you in just a second. We can go through a bunch of different tools and skills. Brandon's asking the question. You know the answers. Yes, you should have bottom lines in place. It sounds like you need to adjust those. Yes, you should be doing your other tools. But at the end of the day, the first and foremost place that needs to be started is this word congruency. and to ask yourself, what kind of man am I, and what kind of man do I want to be? And I would bet if I ask you right now in the context of your relationship, Dan, like, who do you want to be as a man?
Yeah, I want to be, a great partner that Liza can count on, and that, is there and provides safety, security, all of those things.
Okay, perfect. I know that about you, Dan. And I don't know you like Brandon. I just saw you during the weekend and grew to love you in like 2 days for the heart of gold that you got. I know that that's who you are. I know that's who you want to be. And at the end of the day, the first bottom line that has to be started is the bottom line around those principles. I'm a man of honesty. I'm a man who provides safety for my wife. I'm a man who lives with integrity. And forget the acting out parts. That's where the first set of bottom lines has to start.
Well, Tyler, if I can add in here, because I know from things that Dan, your purpose is to love, right? So all the things that Tyler just said, those things are a requirement to connect. You can't connect to yourself and to others without honesty and integrity and those type of things. So if God has made you to create love and to love others, then it's really having the courage to face the demons that get you out of that integrity and dishonesty so that you can step into being that loving person that you are.
Yeah.
Yeah. And if that's where we're coming to, okay, so this will help with relapse prevention for sure if you're doing the work to nurture those things. But if you have your slip, you've got to come back to these things. And at the end of the day, I'm going to give you a little recipe, Dan, of a suggestion of how this might be handled based off of these principles, okay?
Okay.
Hopefully this is happening before the slip, but if the slip happened, then it's right in the midst of the slip. I'd suggest that you get in touch with those principles by first being honest. You've got a bottom line of honesty no matter what. And I would say be honest first with a team member. Call a sponsor, call a guy in your group, call one of the guys.
A healthy one.
Yeah, call one that's going to not put up with your bullshit.
Yes.
and call them. And when you do that, they're going to do a couple of things. One is that they're going to be a landing space that's different than your wife, because they don't have to do all the work to not take it personal. They're going to understand you. And if they do it right, they're going to do two things with you. They're going to offer empathy and understanding, and they're going to do something that I refer to as a chain analysis, but it's basically an autopsy on where things broke down. And that's where what Brandon brought up is the learning. I'm going to now do the learning about this. And after I've done the learning, I'm going to make new commitments. I'm going to make adjustments. I'm going to change my bottom lines. I'm going to recommit to the things that I was committed to. I'm going to be back in touch with the principles of who I want to be. And after I hang up the phone or go to lunch with somebody and do all of that work, I'll then go to my wife.
Dan, did you do that? Did
No.
you call? So, and
No,
I know you got guys. I know
Yeah.
you got good guys to call to be like, hey, like I'm struggling. I need to talk. I need to help me work through this.
Yeah.
So that would be the first step. And the reason for the first step is to get you back in touch with your principles, to get your learning done, to also have some empathy and understanding. And then you're going to approach your wife and you're going to share with her that you've had a slip. You're going to share with her not only that you had a slip, but what you've done, the learning you've had, the new commitments you're making. And then
but pump the brakes, Tyler. I want to just caution against this. Hey, I had a slip, but you know what I've done? I called this guy. I did this. I did that. I did. It's all okay now.
It's better. It's better.
Not that way. Not that way.
You could change the order of this second step. Then I'll change it for you, Brandon. Go to your wife and express that you've had a slip, and first step in with empathy, patience, understanding. Acknowledge that there's some pain there and that you don't like causing her pain, but that you want to make sure she's getting honesty.
Absolutely.
Listen to any questions she has, and then at the end of the day, also let her know that you're being proactive about the things that you're doing and what you learned, what your commitments are, and ask her if she's got any opinions. Right. When that's done, you've now gone and taken this burden and you've sort of placed it on her shoulders, but at least she's seeing that there's work and effort attached to it. And it's not just like, oh, here's the facts, like, see you later, mic drop, I'm out of here. Right. And then now now, Liza, it dumps onto your side of things, right? So Dan, does that make sense first?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. After that, Liza, you're now getting this conversation coming to you whether you want it or not,
Mhm.
right? The first thing that I would suggest is that, and Brandon acknowledge this, is that you allow space for your own feelings. A lot of times a partner feels like, oh, I've got to put on a happy face and I've got to be like, thanks for being honest. This is awesome. Like, it's okay that you're going to have the feelings that you have. It's okay that you're going to instantly have those things in the back of your mind that you've been working really hard to get rid of about why am I not enough, or why is he not telling me the truth, or all that stuff. That's all going to maybe start swirling. And so it's okay for you to have those feelings. It's okay for you to ask questions. It's okay to set some boundaries for yourself around the same kinds of values we were talking about with Dan. Like, who are you and who do you want to be, and what values do you need to protect? And then I would suggest that you do something similar to what I suggested to Dan, which is then take some time and go to some other team members and flush through some of those feelings, flush through some of the questions that you're having, get the support and empathy that you need, because Dan may not be in the best frame of mind. Hopefully he'll be practicing the empathy, but he may not be there to give you what you need in the moment. And you're going to still need to get that support somewhere instead of just going inward on yourself. Does that make sense?
Yeah, for sure.
So Tyler, I think you're kind of outlining what does work in terms of dealing with a relapse. And let's say it happens 2 weeks later, and they go through that process 2 weeks later, and then let's say it happens a month and a half after that, and then it happens 2 weeks after that, and then it happens 3 weeks after that. So at what point, so they go through this process, and then they go through it again and again and again and again and again and again and again. Now what?
It depends on your values as a
Liza, why are you kind of
person.
smirking?
Yeah,
Why
go
are you
ahead, Liza. Go ahead,
Again,
Liza.
again, and again. Feels a little close to home.
Yeah. What's coming up for you, Liza? What comes up for you emotionally? Is Brandon saying that?
Well, Brandon was like, when I start laughing, then there's something like in there, but like it's just like that. That's how it feels to me. Like, just that's the road. Even just like the last 4 years, it feels like that.
So Tyler said something just barely, which is there's boundaries are really interesting, because we can look at the specific relapse and say, okay, what are your boundaries there? But then we can take a step back and look at things and say, okay, what is my truth in my marriage and in my life for my partner, right? And there's going to be this space of, am I okay with sitting in the process of him working this recovery, as long as I'm seeing progress toward less and less betrayal and hurting me, and can I hang in there? Or am I not okay with that, and realizing that although things are changing for the better, if there's not totally fidelity there, and I don't know if there ever will be, then what do I do for me, right? And those are tough questions that you take to God, and you say, okay, God, like what am I supposed to do between you and I here in my relationship? Dan, you brought this addiction into the marriage before the marriage, right? And Liza, it's not your job to fix it. And also you're not required to stick through it. You don't have to. Right. But and there's this other part of it, which is, by the snap of a fingers, addiction doesn't evaporate, doesn't go away. But I would say you got to see some progress, right? So for you to take a step back and say, am I seeing progress here? And then, and I'm talking out loud. You need to sort this out, Liza, for yourself. What works for you, what doesn't work for you. If you get yourself in a position where it's like, well, no matter what, if we go through this process that Tyler just outlined, no matter what, I'm here, I'm in it, no matter what. I'm stuck because the kids, the finances, I don't want divorce, I don't want those things. So I'm just stuck. Then you will operate from a place of fear. Right?
Right.
But if you have the freedom to say, no matter what, I'm going to protect my truths and myself. And that is the most important thing. You might stay in the relationship, you might not stay in the relationship, but that is the most important thing. So does that make sense, Liza?
Yeah. Yeah,
Dan,
it does.
go ahead, Liza, please.
I was just going to say, for me, like, there were parts where I felt stuck and felt trapped, and that I was like the victim to circumstances, right? And my truth and mine is more aligned with, like, I'm in it if we're trying, like I really value like overcoming and growth. And so it's like, if this is kind of like, if I can stay in it through the process,
right,
although it's very painful.
Right. Okay. Excellent. So you're speaking, but I think the vast majority of the women that I work with who have been betrayed, they'll say something very similar to you, Liza, where they're like, I hate the pain. I hate going through this over and over again, but I'm willing to go through this if there is a process, if there's work happening, if there's change happening. That's what you just identified, is that you just tapped into one of your core values, is that you value overcoming, you value being able to fight through this if there's willingness to fight through it and there's willingness to learn. And you don't want to stay if there's not a willingness and an effort to learn and change, right? And so that doesn't take away the fact that there's still pain, but now you're choosing to be part of that process instead of feeling helpless and hopeless like Brandon was describing, which allows you to then have the choice to continue to do your work the way you're doing it until at such point things change for you. You know, if it happens again and again and again and again and again, either you're going to grow because you're doing your own recovery work, you're going to grow into such a place that really his relapses don't even affect you because you know who you are and you have the right boundaries in place and your relationships to get is just going to be where it's at. Or you'll grow into a place where you're going to say, it's time to move. I'm not in for this any longer. And the beautiful thing about that is that it buys time for the work to happen or not happen. And then you got to make your decisions.
Not easy stuff. This is not easy. And it's not easy on either side, right? Yet it's so interesting just being involved with you guys for so long, because I've seen the blessing that this has caused in your life. Liza, I've seen you shift in so many ways in your own recovery, independent of Dan. Like,
for sure,
his addiction propelled you into some things, some group therapy and things like that. Then all of a sudden, like, you're taking risks with business, with your own purpose, you're holding boundaries with people, with family, like all this good stuff is happening in your life, Liza, right? I don't want to, is that true?
Yeah.
And Dan, same thing. Like, I've seen you progress like crazy, and yet the pain is still there, right? Yet we're still having this conversation. And so I do think if just a few more pieces are dealt with and in play, that you guys will thrive. Liza, we were talking this weekend about a hard topic, and just the fact that I think you guys can get there to really connect on that topic and work through it in a healthy way is a lot of progress from where you've been, right?
Well, I don't know that we've worked through it in a healthy way. But
I don't think you have either, but I think you can. I think you can.
Yeah.
But the foundation of that relationship needs to be dealt with, which is trust. Trust has to be there to talk about those hard, vulnerable things. And Dan, you know what you need to do to start to actually build trust for the long term with Liza. And as we were talking over the weekend, Liza, you said, well, he is being honest with me. And it might be hard for me, but he is being honest with me. And I was like, hallelujah. Yes. And I said to you, I said, that's a good thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
you're like, well, yeah. 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 So, like him stepping into honesty, no matter what, is what he needs to do. And you're not being asked to just take it as he dumps stuff on you. For you to be honest back with him and say, this is what works for me. This is what doesn't work for me. So you both can show up as individuals together and then navigate these hard topics together.
Mm-hmm.
It's absolutely possible. But you need to be separated from each other enough. What I mean by that is separated from using each other for your self-worth or your okayness, so that you can have these hard conversations, right? So, Dan, your lack of honesty with Liza has been that you are too scared of her pain and she defines you way too much, right? You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, and in turn it defines me.
Yeah. You think that it defines you. And so then it's really almost impossible to be honest with her, right? So to separate your worth from Liza is important, so then you can be an honest man in the relationship.
Yeah.
So I'm just trying to get as much out as I can before we have to wrap up. But Tyler, go ahead.
I want to ask you, is it possible, knowing who you are, based off of what I heard you say who you are in days past, is it possible that your wife could be raging mad at you and upset at you, and you could still show up in who you are as a man who loves her?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. But like I said, it's almost like, continually convincing myself that that's possible.
That's the work.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I know that you're doing that work, and I agree with Brandon. I think you guys actually have a really good prognosis, especially because, Liza, you actually laughed when Dan said he gave you guys something to chew on for this weekend because he relapsed. Like,
Tyler, she laughs all the time, though. It's her way.
Yeah, that's either the laugh of like, ha ha ha, I'm going to do this so I don't punch you in the face.
Yeah, it's that.
Yeah, that.
A combination of all
Okay.
of all things.
But the fact that you guys are here having this conversation and able to hear both sides of this is evidence of the work that you are doing. I want to just share a quote. I think I shared this before, but I want to share it again because I think this is kind of speaking to you both, but really to you, Dan. It's one of my favorite quotes. It's something that's helped me in my own recovery process. It says, "A man without decision of character can never belong to himself. He belongs to whatever can make captive of him." And that's the work, really, is a daily decision on what your character is going to be, and then to go and prove yourself right. That's it.
All right. Liza jokes. She says she's becoming my "What about Bob?"
Yeah. Knock, knock, knock.
Dan and Liza are not my clients anymore. They're my friends, and you can tell they just got good energy. And it does break my heart to see the pain and anguish that you guys go through with the addiction and in your relationship. And I wish I could snap my fingers and just take it all away and make it easy for you guys. But the fact of the matter is recovery is a process. Recovery requires doing some of the most excruciating stuff, and so that you can have peace and freedom and connection in and create love, Dan, with Liza. So I really appreciate you guys coming on today and opening up. I wish I could talk to you guys longer, but thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank
guys.
you.
Thank you guys for all that you do.
All right. See you guys.
Bye.
All right, take care.